did get into a fight, but other people was involved in the fight too.
Oh, really?
Wait, hold up. They jumped Big U? Oh, cuz.
Big U has supposedly been arrested by someone connected to the late Nipsey Hussle. For years, rumors circulated that Big U was responsible for Nipsey's death, and it appears that what some are referring to as street justice may have landed him in jail. But that isn't the whole story. Additionally, there have been rumors of Loose Cannon and Brick Baby fighting, which may be related to the same drama. Let's examine what actually transpired based on several insider accounts. Big U. We're talking about a full-fledged confrontation between who each have deep street and industry ties. Before the specific connections, let's first examine who Loose Cannon and Brick Baby are. They were recently involved in a violent altercation directly outside the federal jail. Wasn't just a scuffle. It was a serious fight that reportedly sent the entire facility into lockdown. Eugene, one of the most influential and divisive people in Los Angeles, is Big U Henley.
Like that. California just built different. Like nowhere in the world is built like California. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he get out.
Big U? You think Big U's gonna beat it?
I wouldn't be surprised if he get out to keep working. See, it's about the work. He got more people to work. He got more things to do for the. He been the whole time, gang. You ain't heard about he been.
I mean, I seen the rumors, but I never seen no paperwork.
They ain't no. You don't got listen. One thing about the street.
I wouldn't be shocked if he left Big U because you think he's going to beat it. Since it's about the work, he has more people to work with and more things to do for the. He's been there the entire time. Gang, you haven't heard about him. I mean, I've seen the rumors, but I've never seen any paperwork. They haven't, have they? You don't possess. He had held a prominent position in the neighborhood Crips of the Rollins 60s before entering the music business and making a name for himself in March 2025 as a manager of up-and-coming musicians like Nipsey Hussle. Prosecutors say Big U ran a criminal empire while hiding it through his non-profit organization, Developing Options, which allegedly acted as a front for illegal activities. Big U was indicted on 43 federal counts, including charges of racketeering, murder, extortion, and fraud. Tumain. After Nipsey Hussle was tragically murdered in 2019, Loose Cannon Williams, a 30-year-old rapper and producer from South Central, LA, stepped away from production and began releasing music. He was also involved in the same federal RICO case that brought Big U and Zir Brick together. Loose Cannon Williams is known for producing important songs like Bringing California, Back for Nipsey Hussle. All three of these individuals have lengthy histories of intricate alliances, and now they are colliding behind bars. Baby Mitchell is a rapper and podcast host who is associated with the Rollins 60s and the No Jumper Network. He has gained notoriety for his street presence and commentary, frequently igniting controversy online. Whatever transpired, it is evident that this is about long-simmering tensions rather than a single altercation. Brick Baby, who in contrast to Big U and Loose Cannon, grew up in the same Seashaw and Slauson area as Nipsey Hussle, is associated with musicians like Kid Ink and Casey Veggies, Brick initially. When rumors of a jailhouse fight began to circulate online, many assumed it was a three-way Brick fight. However, Baby was arrested for being a felon in possession of a firearm rather than being picked up on federal RICO charges. Despite the various charges, he is still being held in the same facility. In reality, Baby Big U and Loose Cannon weren't fighting with one another while inside. Based on a thorough YouTube account of the conflict, the actual narrative was different. Rather than a conflict between them, it pitted them against everyone else. According to insiders, the three set aside their differences and banded together to fight a shared threat, possibly members of a rival gang that is probably connected to the Bloods. Despite their personal history, they stood shoulder to shoulder once things got heated. This is particularly surprising considering the previous tension between Big U and Loose Cannon, which drama boiled over publicly when Loose Cannon made audacious claims during an interview in January 2024 on the No Jumper podcast hosted by Adam22 and Whack 100. The incident was so serious that the entire federal facility was placed on lockdown after the melee. Loose Cannon made a grave accusation in that interview, saying that Big U knew about Nipsey Hussle's murder before it even occurred. According to Loose Cannon, Big U called him with the news of Nip's death before the murder had been officially confirmed, which raised eyebrows and suspicions throughout the hip-hop community. This statement stoked speculation that Big U might have known more than he revealed despite that explosive allegation. According to Loose Cannon, who got a call from Big U before Nipsey, the recent jailhouse fight indicates that when it comes to gang politics and survival behind bars, even enemies will turn into allies if the threat is significant enough. Illustrates the intricate and ever-changing alliances in both the system and the streets. Even though Hussle had been reported dead, according to Cannon, he phoned Nipsey directly, who was still alive at the time. About half an hour later, it was announced that Nipsey had been slain, which led Loose Cannon to wonder if Big U had early information of the tragedy. Cannon reportedly indicated in public that he thought he could have been able to stop Nipsey's death if Big U had been more forthcoming, implying that Big U's silence might have had a role in the terrible result. Cannon suggested a higher degree of engagement or, at the very least, dubious timing that suggested potential collusion. Cannon also described what he said was a strained relationship between Nipsey and Big U, citing a previous physical altercation, in which Nipsey's brother Black Sam was arrested for allegedly firing a gun. Cannon said this altercation resulted from a diss track that was allegedly directed at Big U, demonstrating that their relationship had become toxic over time. Big U didn't remain silent following those grave accusations in March 2024, though, and he responded lawfully.
If it come out, you did it. We don't need paperwork. The paperwork is your name should have came up in it.
You definitely need paperwork, man.
Nah, not at this new age. What do you need paperwork for? If somebody say you a then, because ain't nobody gonna lie on you. What they gotta lie on you for? Listen, here. So what? If they lie, he's still a because ain't nobody gonna lie on me and say I'm a killer. You tell Big U to kill him. That's how I know he ain't no until they dead here. They still alive, Capone?
Requesting that the No Jumper podcast delete the interview and cease disseminating what he described as fraudulent statements in a cease and desist letter. The court action demonstrated how seriously Big U viewed the charges. Things took a different turn in April 2024 when Cannon's twin brother, Jermaine Williams, came forward on the Streets and Scholars podcast, claiming that Big U and Loose Cannon never spoke over the phone. He even went so far as to accuse his brother of lying about important parts of his life, such as his marriage and his music credits, raising serious questions about Cannon's credibility overall. Despite all of this tension, when the fight broke out in the jail, Big U and Loose Cannon put it all aside in the yard, where they were united. Reports indicate that the fight wasn't just a brief altercation. It started in the yard but continued even after the men were placed in solitary confinement, known as the Hole, where more blows were exchanged, forcing guards to step in and tensions still simmering. 7 people allegedly stood with Brick Baby, Loose Cannon, and Big U during a significant fight in the federal yard against 9 other inmates. This wasn't a small altercation. Rather, it was a full-fledged conflict that led to a facility-wide lockdown that prevented all prisoners from accessing the yard. Tensions were high, and the consequences were immediate. The timing was made worse by the fact that both Brick Baby and Loose Cannon had upcoming bail hearings. Judges closely examine behavior behind bars, and prosecutors frequently argue that violent incidents demonstrate a defendant lacks control and may pose a risk to the public if granted bail. Interestingly, some sources have conjectured that the incident could actually work in their favor if it is proven they were acting in self-defense or were the victims of the altercation, but there are currently no confirmed reports of injuries from the fight or clarity on who delivered the first blow. It's also crucial to note that the yard brawl is distinct from a separate issue that reportedly occurred between Loose Cannon and Brick Baby. According to insider reports, the two had a personal dispute within their module or shared cell area. Brick Baby was relocated to an adjacent cell when Loose Cannon apparently challenged him, causing a temporary separation. Despite the stress, they are reportedly now on terms. According to reports, the brief disagreement was swiftly settled. Maybe to preserve harmony in a place where reputation and loyalty are crucial. The complexity of politics within federal imprisonment is highlighted throughout this episode, particularly when the prisoners are well-known gang members who, in spite of their prior disagreements, might unite as Brick Baby, Big U, and Loose Cannon, demonstrates the tenacity of long-standing gang ties and the unspoken guidelines that continue to regulate behavior in prison. The rivalry between the Rollins 60s Crips and the Bloods dates back decades, having its roots in the gang's formation in the 1970s. This long-standing rivalry has been characterized by territorial disputes, drug trade competition, and gang pride, which have fueled years of violence throughout Los Angeles and outside of prison systems. These affiliations become even more significant because gang connections often provide protection, resources, and a sense of belonging. This background makes the recent federal prison brawl all the more telling, as Big U, a prominent member of the Rollins 60s, and other affiliated inmates like Loose Cannon and Brick Baby are reported to have joined forces against Bloods members. It reflects the deep and ongoing divides that exist even behind bars. What makes the situation unique, though, is the personal history between those involved, particularly the widely reported rift between Loose Cannon and Big U. Although Loose Cannon had previously accused Big U of knowing about Nipsey Hussle's murder before it occurred, this accusation caused significant tension between the two. However, in that prison yard, gang loyalty and survival outweighed long-standing hostility in correctional environments. These alliances, albeit brief, demonstrate how power dynamics change when safety and territory are at stake.
They what?
If they still alive, the person that said it?
The person that said it, or the people who said it are still alive, yes.
Yeah, it's true then. Because Big U ain't slid. In St. Louis, we slide when you lie. So if you ain't slid, it's the truth.
While we're still on the topic, you know, if Big U gets convicted, he's looking at a mandatory life sentence.
Yeah,
and
that's
he's
true.
58 years old, man. You know, a lot of people think he should have ran instead of turning himself in.
He ain't gonna get far. The diabetes and the cancer and all that shit from the food gonna kill him. He gonna make it to about 59.
Thus, the Blood Scripts violence has frequently overflowed into prisons, as seen by notorious events like the 2015 altercation between rapper Bobby Shmurda and the Otis Bantam Correctional Center in New York. For Big U, who is facing serious federal charges like murder and racketeering, what happened recently may just be another chapter in the ongoing pattern of prison violence linked to outside street wars. For Loose Cannon and Brick Baby, particularly as bail hearings draw near, the altercation may complicate their chances of being released unless they are presented as victims or defenders. But beyond the legal fallout, this confrontation goes deeper. It's part of a tangled legacy that is rooted in the streets of Shaw and the life and death of Nipsey Hussle. The history between Nipsey, Big U, and those around them must be revisited in order to fully comprehend the significance of what happened in that yard. The Nipsey Hussle connection is still crucial to understanding recent tensions. According to the trial, Eric Holder Jr., who was found guilty of first-degree murder and 60 years to life in prison in February 2023, killed Nipsey on March 31, 2019, outside his Marathon clothing store in South Los Angeles. Holder reportedly became enraged after Nipsey mentioned rumors that he had been called a snitch, an accusation that carries significant weight among gang affiliates known on the streets as shitty. One of the ongoing discussions surrounding the murder revolves around the timeline. According to court documents, Holder and Nipsey had a conversation in the Marathon parking lot. Witnesses described the exchange as calm, but Holder's response showed otherwise. Big U provides an alternative account of events, arguing that Holder never actually left the scene to change clothes and returned to carry out a planned attack. Instead, Big U claims Holder went to a nearby restaurant called Master Burgers, where surveillance cameras caught him acting strangely and sitting shirtless. Big U claims this moment of obvious instability demonstrated Holder wasn't thinking clearly. The prosecution's story of deliberate premeditation is contradicted by this alternative account, which does not absolve Holder but rather changes the perspective on how the murder happened and perhaps explains why Big U's name keeps coming up in larger conversations with persistent conjecture about who knew what happened to Nipsey. which still causes friction in the community and even now, when he is incarcerated, standing only 5'5" or 5'6". According to loose cannon, Eric Holder was physically smaller than Nipsey Hussle. Tension between them escalated after their prior altercation over police-related snitching accusations. Although Big U has vehemently denied these claims, sending a cease and desist letter to No Jumper to stop their spread, loose cannon's assertion that Big U had advanced knowledge of Nipsey's murder is explosive and raises questions about Cannon's credibility. Loose Cannon isn't the only person who has expressed concerns about Big U's alleged involvement in Nipsey's death, though. In 2024, his twin brother, Jermaine Williams, appeared on the Streets and Scholars podcast, where he denied that Big U had called and accused his brother of fabricating several parts of his life, including his marriage and musical credentials. After Big U's federal RICO indictment, a former death prison performer known as Suge Knight Girl made her claims public in a March 2025 TMZ interview. SKG openly hailed his arrest and claimed that he was involved in Nipsey's death. She also said that justice for Nipsey was finally being served and cautioned that many people would be shocked to learn the real truth about Big U's alleged participation. Big U reportedly undermined Nipsey Hussle's ascent out of envy. She also related a frightening personal story in which she said she was duped into going to Nipsey's marathon shop, where Big U allegedly raped her while she was pregnant. She claimed that Nipsey and his associate Fats conspired to set her up, adding yet another level of accusations to the murky web of allegations surrounding Big U's past. She also suggested that evidence indicating continued community danger could have a significant impact on Big U's RICO case, as he is already facing serious federal charges. Any additional jail disciplinary measures, such as this yard fight, might change the court's assessment of his level of threat. Prosecutors may contend that ongoing gang-affiliated violence, even while incarcerated, supports their narrative of Big U as a high-risk defendant. However, as the RICO proceedings proceed, a crucial question still stands. Will additional evidence surface regarding the claims connected to Nipsey Hussle's murder? Both Loose Cannon and SKG have made explosive allegations linking Big U to the tragedy, but none of these claims have been legally verified. If new information comes to light, they could either confirm or completely refute those accusations. Additionally, Wack 100, with his public history of feuds with Big U and relationships with individuals like Loose Cannon, what role might he play as these cases progress? Will he continue to fuel the narrative or possibly testify if called upon? This incident also highlights a unique cultural crossover. These are not anonymous gang members. These men have platforms for podcasts, rappers' careers, and online presence. As we wait for more from the trial and the jail block, the combination of entertainment and gang politics adds a new dimension to the way influence, violence, and reputation are used as weapons. There is little doubt that the verdicts in these trials will affect not only the parties concerned, but also how future generations see Nipsey Hussle's legacy and the development of gang dynamics in hip-hop culture. Please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and enable alerts if you thought this analysis was enlightening.